Name.
Sensible,
Best
isn't
dressed.
it? Yeah, best dressed.
Guest.
Oh, thank you.
Grant Lee was dressed.
You go like this? Clap.
Did you say your name or anything then?
No. I'm Jesse.
Say your name, who you are.
Your company, name, company, clap. That's it.
That's it.
Okay. Jesse Ebbet, Arc Technologies.
Welcome to the Cherrywood podcast with me, Simon Burridge.
And me, Rachel Burridge.
Here we go. Jesse. Comfortable?
Yeah.
Lovely to meet you, Jesse.
Good to meet you.
Canadian's Tom Cruise, by the looks of him. He's got a bit of Tom Cruise about him. He has got a bit of Tom Cruise about him, hasn't he?
It's the accent.
Pound shop Tom Cruise.
Must be the accent. Yeah.
It's not the accent. No, you've got a bit of a look. Tom Cruise look. I think so. Young Tom Cruise look. No?
You're coming on to him.
I'm coming on to it, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, lovely to meet you. Before we start, let's talk about that sign, remember?
Oh,
Got
yeah.
a rough idea how long you think it is?
It's going to hit me in the head,
It shouldn't do. It shouldn't hit you in the head.
Okay, cool. I'm going to go with like 18 minutes.
That's not a bad shout, considering you have no idea what that sign's all about.
Right, so have you put new tape on it?
Yeah, he watched me do it as well.
Okay, there we
I
go.
did. Yeah, you put 2, so.
3 actually.
You put 3?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see the third
24 minutes then.
one. I'll stick with the 18.
18, all right.
Today's sponsors are DiGiorgio Properties, your premier choice for expert building solutions. From concept to completion, trust them to turn your dreams into a reality.
Visit their website today at digiorgiosproperties.com.
Dimedici Associates, chartered, structural and civil engineers.
Based in the UK with a worldwide reach.
Visit their website on dimediciassociates.com.
Connect by Tech, business communication experts. Based in Kent, they can reach the entire UK. Whether you want to save money on your business phone systems, mobile phones and devices, internet, or seek cheaper energy bills, they've got you covered. Visit them on connectbytech.co.uk or call them on 01634 565 565.
Okay, Jesse, let's tell me about yourself. What's your company? What's your name and where'd you come from? That was a game show, wasn't it? No, you're too young.
One, he wouldn't know that because it's an English programme. And 2, he's far too young for that.
Just coming on to you, Jesse.
How old do you think I am?
You must be about 24.
Oh.
Am I coming on to you now?
I'm 30.
Oh my God. Oh, he's still a baby.
I'm not quite that much of a baby.
You've got a couple of kids. We've already had this
I
discussion.
do, yeah.
Yeah, while we were waiting for you, as usual. we
Oh,
had this
sorry.
discussion. So, Jess, tell us about yourself. Oh, Jess, is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah, so I own Arc Technologies. It's a firm that focuses on AI research and software development for businesses.
Okay.
Nice. How long have you had the company for?
We've been incorporated for about 4 years, and I started kind of working on it about 7 or 8 years ago.
Nice. So what got you into that then? What sort of inspired you to go down that route?
Yeah. So back when I was young, like early 20s, I was working in construction, and I fell off a form and I broke my wrist.
All right, so you've manual labour.
Yeah, I was doing
Right,
manual
okay.
labor. I did that all throughout my teenage years and my early 20s. And then while I was sitting there injured, I was really bored. So I got on my computer and thought, what kind of jobs can I do from my laptop? And then websites and software development came up. So I just started studying while I was on workers' compensation. And then people started asking me to build these dashboards for them.
Right.
And then it kind of just snowballed from there.
Okay, so I'm very non-computer tech side of it. So what is a dashboard then?
So basically, like all of those software as a service pieces that you pay for a subscription, and then you enter all your data and see reports and things like that. We build those custom for businesses.
Ah, right, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So how long would that take then from like sort of start to finish then to do like a very basic version of that?
Well, a very basic one, we have a model now where we can have it done in like half an hour to an hour.
Really?
Yeah, if we already have all of the modules put in place. But then some of our projects take years. So it really depends on the complexity of the project.
So you're still creating dashboards now?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. So how does the AI bit come into it?
So we use AI in a lot of the time it's sentiment analysis. So when users submit text, then we have an AI system detect swearing or violence or things of those natures, and we flag them to be processed by a human.
I see, right.
Other ways we use it is to try to categorize certain phrases. So we have one project that we've been working on that does basically inspections for vehicles. And then those inspections get text responses of like, is this vehicle safe to operate? Somebody will say, oh no, that's missing a tire or something.
Right.
And then we categorize the severity of the incident to determine how quickly we need to respond to it.
Oh,
Blimey.
wow.
Okay.
So it's sort of AI, but operated or controlled by humans as such.
All AI is,
Yeah.
though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there is fully automated AI systems, but the best way currently to use AI is to kind of be a supplementary tool to assist in processing.
Because AI doesn't have its own brain to think yet, does it?
AI is based on
It's just math.
human input.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just math.
It's
It's
the
only going to
constant human
be
input.
artificial based on the information that's been given. Yeah.
Yeah, so you take large data sets and then you basically train the model to draw lines through a graph. And that's essentially all
'Cause-
AI does.
Yeah, because a lot of people feel that it's self-thinking. In a way, it's not, is it?
It's not at all.
It's not at all.
No.
Because that would be full AI, wouldn't it? If a computer had a brain and made decisions on its own,
Yeah.
that would then be complete AI because it wouldn't need any human input,
Well,
right?
the thing is, right, the way I see it, I understand where you're coming from, but we're only programmed based on what we're taught, in a way.
Yeah. Well,
See what I mean?
it's an interesting debate. One of my favorite kind of thought experiments is how would we create a true artificial superintelligence? And I always think about it like mapping out each point of the brain. So your brain has your prefrontal cortex, which processes all of the information that it's being given really quickly and determines whether or not to use the fight or flight response or the logical response. And then, so in order to create a super intelligence, we would have to have first the prefrontal cortex, then have an emergency kind of operation if it triggers some sort of an emergency situation. And then otherwise, we would have to use the logical part and determine the next steps. But then we also need language processing, and we need math processing, and we need movement and all of these other components that humans do automatically that we don't really think about.
Is it like even down to blinking, silly things like that we just take for granted. We don't even know we're doing it.
Yeah.
But it's the decision making, isn't it? As soon as you put empathy into it or emotions or anything, that's the side of it where you think, okay, if AI gets that, then it's
And the
Salvation Day,
ability for AI
it's Terminator.
and the ability for AI to even read emotion.
We're actually pretty close to that. So in text-based response,
Text, you mentioned
it's a little bit difficult even for humans to determine emotion in text. But if you have a video of somebody that's talking, AI is pretty good at determining the feelings that are a part of that.
facial expressions, volume,
Micro expressions.
speed.
And then as we get better at that, we can also have appropriate responses built in based on what they're feeling, right? So you can simulate empathy. I wouldn't say it actually feels things, but it can simulate it to a point where humans wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Right, because it's still not quite there. I'm getting phoned up by someone that is clearly AI.
You did it yesterday.
Yeah, and I just fuck with it. And it can't handle it, and then it puts the phone down on me.
Because you go,
And it was from a legit company as well. They're using AI now to do these calls. I can't remember who it was. I'm not going to say what the company was because I actually can't remember. But it was. I know it was a legit company that clearly have made redundant a load of old girls that are usually on the phone talking. But and it's just the response when you start talking. It's still mid sentence. You start talking back, and it still finishes off a couple of words before it shuts the hell up. And then it's like, Okay then, yeah, thanks for that. And then it goes on again and starts, and you're like, oh, just go. So I just mess with it and start telling it stories about my weekend, and
Yeah.
And then
just can't handle
and then
it.
it just goes,
Can't.
and then it hangs up.
Well, those chatbots use you essentially predefine certain kind of
Replies.
scenarios,
Replies,
right?
yeah,
And then
yeah.
predefine some replies.
Yeah.
Those aren't truly generative. Those are just trying to figure out the context of what you're saying and
Yes.
match it to something it already knows.
So would it pick up on a few words or something that Simon said and then go to the next option
Yes.
or something? Or
Yeah.
it would work
Yeah.
like that
So,
then?
yeah, it's got to determine scenarios of your reply.
Yeah.
And we'll try and work
Select
out what one
a
of those
few
replies you've gone
words
for.
or something.
Yeah.
If I start
Fine.
talking about what I did the weekend, it's like
It's going to
what's going on.
explode.
it will probably pick one of them or repeat what it said before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I think the technology side of it scares me a little bit because
Why?
it's. I'm very naive when I say this because I don't truly know anything about it really. But I look at it and think, oh God, it's going to be like the Terminator.
Yeah, I get that a lot. A lot of people come to me and they're like, "Oh, it's just going to be like the movies, iRobot, or Terminator, RoboCop."
You was in half of them. Right.
I think about it and go, it's not really going to be like that. I mean, to get a fully functioning Android system that it operates on its own accord, you're probably 20, 30 years out from that. It's not something that's going to be tomorrow.
I remember growing up, and my dad didn't know how to program. I'll say VCR. We call it a video, but it'd be VCR for you. He didn't know how to program that, and we were like, Dad, it's easy. You do this. I'm getting to the point now where she puts the timer on the telly to turn it off because, in theory, I just can't be bothered to learn it, but Rachel knows it. But I'm getting to the point where things are going to get slightly harder because technology is moving on. What I worry about with these AIs is, especially like that phone call I got, I don't think my mum yesterday would have, I say yesterday, from my call yesterday, I don't think my mum would have known that was a bot or, and which is fine because that was a legitimate company, but you are going to get some proper scams come up that sound really legit.
Yeah.
And that's what worries me more than anything about it.
Yeah, and I think preventing scams is actually quite simple. A lot of what I teach people is anytime you get any sort of unsolicited message or call or anything from a company, look up the actual number, not the number that they give you, and then call them back. Ask for agent ID or ask for something like that.
Exactly.
I do the same thing with like the Canadian government when they have something to call about. Not that they very often call, but they do occasionally, right? And there's other ways you can protect yourself too. If the company should have protected information of you, give them little bits of it, right? So ask them to provide the first three of your social insurance number, and then you'll provide the last three. Or ask them to provide the month you were born, or things that are not commonly able to be found.
The way I look at it myself is if they've called me about something, if I needed it, I'd be contacting them.
Right.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
No, so it's the same as someone knocking your door. So scams have always been going on. People knocking the door, you know. It's just advanced a lot. So yeah, the way I always say to it, if I want something, I will come to you.
Yeah. And I think one of common scams right now is like debt scams.
Yes.
So people say, "Oh, you owe us this money. You have
Yes.
to do this, or you're going to jail." And it'll often
Scary, isn't it? It's scary for them.
Yeah.
So it's, you've got someone telling you at the end of the phone, you owe us £5,000, pay it now. And you think, oh my God. And you don't, it's like you said earlier, the fight or flight instinct.
Yeah.
And you just go, oh my God. And it's
panic
scary.
and you send
Absolutely.
it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, though, like companies aren't going to reach out and like demand money in a very hostile way. If there's other procedures to go about, right? The other thing is most scams can be shooed away just by asking them who you are. Right?
Yeah, it's techniques. I imagine that should be learnt in school now, really.
Oh, it should be taught to the general public for sure.
I
I know.
a lot of ours come from HMRC, which is sort of like our tax, money, everything like that, like everything to do with wages and anything like that. And you get these messages through like, oh, your tax return says that you owe this much. And you're like, I swear it doesn't. Then you log on and you think, I shouldn't have logged on. So I delete it because I think, like you said, if they actually want me or want anything, they will call me and they will break it down and write to me and everything like that. And I think that's legit. But anything that says you owe this much from your tax return, I'm thinking, no, I don't. I really don't.
I've got to be honest, even when I get an email from the lottery to say I've won something in the lottery, I will not click on the link. I will go to the lottery page and
on the
log
app.
in.
Yeah, and those are some general rules, right? Don't click on links from people you don't trust. Double check the email anytime something looks suspicious, because you'll find like some email at some scam artist domain.com, right? And then
it's something about if it's got like 120 people in the email, or if it's send to all or something like that. That's what we're always taught at work as well. Send to all. Don't open it. Any attachments that look dodgy, don't open it. Anything like that.
Yeah. And also, like, again, if they can't verify who you are, then don't talk to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you really are concerned, hang up and call the legitimate company. Don't call back the number that called you. Right? Do your research. Yeah.
Perfect. Right. I want to talk about AI and the future of AI in a bit more detail in a minute, but I want to talk about you and your life.
Oh, God.
Tell us about how you got to be a builder and construction.
I thought you were going to say to be born then. I was like, that's too much.
Too much detail. Yeah, I don't want to.
So from baby onwards.
I can just see the pain in your eyes from the past.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Hayden let you in on that.
I'm sure there's a story there somewhere that I want to try and get out of you.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a fairly rough home, and it wasn't glamorous by any means. I was fairly poor when I was growing up. I also got very angry with the world when I was in my teen years and dropped out of school for a while.
So
which I find hard because we always see Canadians as really nice people.
I was going to say, this is you over in Canada.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So BC was this?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think I
Columbia.
was angry with my parents, and so I chose to punish myself.
Okay, so were your parents always together?
No,
they separated.
They split up when I was
really
young.
Was it the separation that made you angry with your parents?
No, they were. They tried hard, but they weren't the most knowledgeable parents.
Okay.
And so they tried harder with my siblings.
Okay.
Were you the first?
Yeah.
It's hard with the first one.
Yeah. It's kind of like a trial run, right?
Yeah.
The first one, look, Rachel's the same with her first one. It's not my first, it'd be my fourth one, but it's her first. So my fourth one, she's fine, leave her, she's all right.
Yeah.
What you find with your first one, they're a representation of yourself, and you feel that people are going to be judging you based on how they act, when actually they're acting absolutely fine.
Yeah.
They're acting like kids. But you see them as a banner, an advert for what sort of parents you are.
Yeah.
So you're extra,
much harder.
You're strict, everything. I was the same with my first, and she's the same with her first.
Yeah.
And there's no manual to being a parent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially
you just kind of get thrown into it.
Especially if their parents are also crap. You know? There's no manual.
Yeah, and you get that generational kind of trauma going through.
Yeah. And did you ever similar, because you had kids young as well, like me?
Kinda, yeah. I was more into work than being a parent. So I
very honest. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was in construction, I'd work 16 to 18 hour days, get home, fall asleep, and do it again. And I did that for a number of years. But I think the reason I got into construction was just because I could see what I've done at the end of the day, and that sense of accomplishment I really liked. And it's similar to why I do websites and software now, is because I can sit down at a computer, write for 4 or 5 hours, and then see the result of what I've built. So
nice dodge. But let's go back.
So how did you get from sort of like into construction then? So you did sort of, Well, I'm sorry.
No, he's dodged the other bit. We were going deeper.
Oh,
And then you started asking him construction questions.
Okay, you do yours and then I'll do my lighter bit later.
So we're going back to the parents, and you were angry with your parents, and you were angry.
Sure.
And so what sort of age we're talking? Early teens?
I think most of my childhood, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, well into my teens, yeah.
And
That's hard, isn't it? Being like that in your teens as well. Sort of like you're repressing, and then you're sort of like angry at the world, like you said, and just like, no, this is I'm doing this now.
Yeah.
So.
And then it takes a lot in like later on. It takes a lot of self-reflection to take responsibility for that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
So when did you start working on yourself?
Yeah, I'd probably say like early 20s.
Early 20s, right.
20, 22, yeah.
Okay.
Was there something that just clicked, or did you really have to think something needs to change?
Was you rock bottom type thing?
Yeah, I was kind of at that stage where, nothing was really going right. I had a broken wrist, and, I felt really sorry for myself, and I was sitting there being a victim. And at some point I just decided, you know what, I don't want to sit like this anymore. I want to do something about it. And then I got introduced to Tony Robbins and Dean Grazios and all of these other life coach style people.
Right.
And it really clicked with me.
So how did you find them? You just at home?
I was just on YouTube.
Oh, right, okay.
Started looking up things like motivation, and
Yeah.
you start scrolling and that stuff kind of comes up.
And you found them and then contacted them yourself, or did you just watch their...
For the first while, I just watched them. Then a few years into my self-development journey, I ended up doing a Tony Robbins seminar and kind of advancing and getting life coaches and dealing with counselors and all of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So do you have a number of life coaches, or do you just have Hayden now?
Currently, I just talk to Hayden, and I feel like it's different now because we both are kind of on equal ground.
Yeah.
So we both kind of bounce ideas off each other.
Yeah.
So did you ever counsel him, like in the morning?
Sometimes, yeah.
When you're sitting there going,
He does take it though,
Yeah.
Hayden. He does take it.
He
I've
does.
counselled him before.
Yeah.
Yeah. He probably thought I was talking shit.
but it's you.
I don't want to say, but he's got stuff on his mind from his
Sure.
past as well.
Well, we've had him on the podcast, and we know his background,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
again, that's something that you can't just forget overnight. It takes a lot of self-reflection and mindfulness almost to get over that.
It always
right?
involves overthinking. Most of the time, it involves overthinking. What do people think of me? What do people think of me? And I said, you're just not important enough. Which you,
In a
sometimes
nutshell,
just aren't.
it's- yeah.
I think,
Not important.
I think one of the lessons that I learned out of it was if you ask yourself a dumb question, you're going to get a dumb answer. Because
I do that all the time.
well, your brain, and part of my AI development journey has been understanding the brain a lot more. And the brain, it's just a device that wants to validate thoughts and come up with answers, right? So if you say, oh, why does this always happen to me? Your brain's going to go, oh, well, because you're shit and you do all this. And, and it's going to give you the reasons why things always happen to
Because
you.
you've asked a negative question, it's going to give you negative responses.
And it doesn't even care what negative or positive is. It's just trying to validate your thinking. So if you ask yourself questions like, how can I accomplish this? You're going to get much different answers than, why does this always happen to me?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay.
So that's how. Can I ask my question now?
I suppose you can. I'll allow you to answer that.
So what did you have to then? So you studied at school and then you dropped out, and then you sort of just found construction, or you sort
Did
of
he say he
thought,
dropped out then?
I dropped out of high school, yeah.
All right, okay.
I did construction because I wasn't living with my parents by about 13.
All right.
And then I needed some level of income. So I kind of bounced around with different trades for a while. And it seemed like every time I got good at a trade, they'd be like, you're too smart to be here. Go do something else.
Can I ask where you was then from 13?
I was living with friends and an adoptive family. And
Okay, so you're just bouncing around different places.
yeah.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah. It's better than being at home.
Oh dear. So are you in contact with your parents now?
I am with my dad.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
yes. So construction. I'm going to take it back to my question.
There's
Sorry.
me trying to go really deep, and you just trying to go. Sorry.
So
Good host, bad
then you
host.
just everyone then just said you're too good for it. So that must have been again
Yeah,
a
it was
positive knock almost, but still is a knock in itself. That
it made me feel like I didn't really belong anywhere, right? And I found that, you know, things came really easy to me, but I would be doing things like doing Pythagoras' theorem on doing an angle instead of just grabbing the tape measure and measuring the angle. And they would notice those things too and try to make me do things the easy way. And to me, it was easier to do the math.
to do that, yeah,
right?
of course.
So yeah, after I broke my wrist, it was a natural transition to find something that was very math focused, as math was always one of my favorite things. But also having that building kind of sense to it, because I did thoroughly enjoy having that accomplished feeling of building something.
Yeah, this is what I've done, this is my efforts, and this is the end product.
Yeah.
I was going to
absolutely.
ask you, miss the hands-on type thing.
I still do it in my free time.
Yeah.
So like I'll grab a hobby and grab a plank of wood and build a table or something just to fill in that kind of need. So
I have cousins in Canada, and it blows me away what they do.
They have
I go there and
workshops,
they build
don't
a
they?
house,
Yeah.
you know? I've built this. What? You built that?
Because like they say to us, "Oh, come and have a look at our workshop," and you go in there, and
The workshop's bigger than our house.
Yeah, and it is huge, and we're thinking, "Oh my god, I'd love this."
that's really common in Canada, actually. The shop is usually a lot bigger than the house.
There was a time when I could afford any house in Canada, but the prices have gone through the roof, haven't they?
Yeah. Average house is, 800,000 to 1.2 mil,
Yeah.
depending on where you go.
But I always found Canadians so friendly. You know, they can't. You ask them a question, and they go above and beyond to go and help you. They're so
See, I've only
nice.
ever experienced positive families in Canada, and it's weird to hear from you. Obviously, there are bad ones, but it's weird. Our view of Canadians are happy, helpful,
Yeah.
lovely families, and
God, that's
there you go. Forgot about it, didn't you? Forgot about it.
Thought it was my phone.
God, that's a heavy phone.
Yeah.
So, how did you actually break your wrist then? Are we allowed to go down that route? Or
Sure, yeah. I was doing the ties on a concrete wall form, and then I was up about 16 feet and I fell to the ground.
It's a scaffold.
Not a scaffold, but in Canada anyways, we build concrete with putting like wall forms, and then you fill the inside with the concrete and then hold it there till it's dry.
Yeah.
So those forms is what I was making, and then I slipped off the top and fell 16 feet onto my wrist, and so it was not fun.
Oh dear. So
that must have been, because obviously I'm clumsy enough to have broken my wrist a few times, but no, that must have been bone sticking out.
No, it was a severe sprain, so it took me about 4 months to heal. Yeah.
So did you ever go back to construction while you started thinking of the?
No.
Oh right.
No, I had enough of it. Yeah, I was sitting there injured, and then the company that I was working for was like, "Oh, he's faking it," and all this stuff, and I'm like, I don't really like you guys anymore. So
Yeah, with your wrist just hanging there like that. Like,
I couldn't even like grip like rice. I couldn't even squeeze rice. Right.
And then they're sitting there saying you're faking it. That's ridiculous.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to take this time, focus on learning, and I'm going to do something that I enjoy.
So how did you go from, what was your first steps into, I'm going to turn this into a business, from I like this idea, I could use this idea, actually I'm going to turn this into a business. What was the first step in that?
And was the transition a struggle as well financially?
The transition was definitely a struggle. I went from making, $40,000 a year to making maybe a couple $100 a month at first. And then I ended up moving to a new city and taking on a lead developer position at another company. And then, after about 1.5 years, I had done some really good work and made that company quite a bit of money. And so I just sat up one day and went, I think I should do this on my own. And then from there, I had the confidence to kind of pursue it myself. And I had enough clients coming to me that I didn't really need to worry about it. So I got some main clients that paid the majority of my wage. And from there, it was kind of up and down. Later on, I took on a business partner. And then now we're doing good work. We have lots of different products available. And yeah.
So are you sort of the majority of the stakeholder? Do you have the majority ownership of the company?
We're 50-50.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you find that hard sometimes?
No, not really.
Similar characters?
Yeah, we get along quite well. And really, I do make a majority of the decisions.
Okay.
The times that I need advice or I'm not sure about the decision to make, then we talk about it and we come up with a decision together.
So, what am I trying to say? I've forgotten. So, are there parts of the business that you would know more than this guy? Is there stuff that
like
you rely on him on?
specialising?
Do you specialise in one thing and you specialise in the other, or are you both on a similar plane?
Yeah, so I tend to do more of like the day-to-day work, and he tends to deal with like lawyers and accountants and those kind of professionals.
The legal side of things.
Yeah, so whenever there's an issue that comes up, he's frontline on that, and then I give my perspective to the lawyers and accountants and all of that. Then we make a decision together and move forward. He helps brainstorm ideas on how we're going to move forward and adapt the company and change over time.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the day-to-day stuff, I deal with the staff and I train them and I do that all.
Okay, how many staff do you have?
I think we're at 9 now.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And they're all like coders, things like that?
Yeah, we have mostly programmers, and then one is a kind of management. So she helps organize my brain.
So you've, Rachel does that for me. So you are, you were in BC. Where are you now?
Still in BC.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, just went on an adventure. So.
Okay, because you said you moved the company. I didn't know where.
No, I moved myself after when I was starting out with the programming.
Ah, right. Okay.
Yeah, so I was living around Vancouver, and then I moved to the Okanagan.
Right. Okay.
That's really where the company began. So.
Am I right? I might get this wrong because my geography is shite. Vancouver is the French-speaking.
No.
What's that?
That's like Quebec.
Quebec,
Ontario,
of course it is Quebec, yeah.
All those Easterners.
Yeah. So Vancouver's west and up a little bit, yeah?
Yeah, West Coast, right near the border of the U.S.
Oh, right, okay, so... Yes, nice. I think I've landed in Vancouver. Would I have landed there to go skiing?
I don't know, why are you looking at me?
Going skiing.
Yeah, would I have landed there?
Definitely would be going skiing in BC. Yeah.
Oh, right, no, well, I've done Banff.
Banff is kind of Alberta, BC.
Where would I have landed for Banff?
You could have been Calgary.
Oh, it was. Yeah, it was Calgary. Told you I was not very good at geography. It was a long time ago. It's over 20 years ago.
It's okay. Calgary is a forgettable place.
You only land there.
It's just a temporary move.
It's a stopover, if that.
Sorry for anyone listening in Canada. We do have a lot of Canada listeners, so Canadian listeners.
They'll agree with me. Calgary is the place you go to get going, and then you leave.
Right, before I go on my in-depth AI chat, I say in-depth. Are you a sports fan out there? Because I love the Blue Jays personally.
Not particularly. I've never really had. I had a
feeling you wasn't a sporty sort of person. But,
thanks.
But can you skate?
Can I skate?
Yeah.
Like on ice?
Yeah.
No.
Are you sure you're Canadian?
Well, I'm sure. I like sitting outside in negative 30.
Naked.
Yeah. Do you know, I've been negative. Well, I'm talking Canadian now. Negative. We would say minus, wouldn't we? Yeah. Minus 38, I think. Skiing.
Yeah.
Skiing.
You get some good gear on, and it's just nice.
You don't know. You don't know.
You go
sometimes
skiing.
it's sweaty. You're up there and the sun's on you, but it's still minus 38. And
do you have to wear like those, like the suntan lotion when you're up there skiing? And it's really
depends on the day. Yeah.
You skied. You must ski.
Yeah, I snowboard.
Well, I've done that. Yeah, I've done that in Banff. I got down there once without falling over, and I thought, that's me done for snowboarding.
I'll tick that off my
But I'm
bucket
not a
list.
skateboarder. If you can skateboard, you can snowboard quite well.
I did skateboarding when I was younger.
And I was cutting a lot of the front edge and going over, a lot.
Yeah.
And I did one run and I didn't fall over. I was like, that'll do. That'll do. Let's
got
get
my
the skis
gold
back
star.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. Right, let's talk about the future of AI. Where do you see AI in 10 years? And where do you see it in 20 years? How do you see the development?
Yeah, 10 years. 10 years, I think businesses will be using it more commonly. So chatbots will be taking over for customer service representatives.
Yes, that's literally happening, isn't it?
It's happening now, but it'll just be that customer service is a thing of the past, and it'll be AI bots that are trained to do all of the things that you would ask a human to do. We're already seeing it in bank algorithms and like mortgage loans acceptance and things like that.
Okay.
So that'll become even more prominent. The best way that I've seen it explained is that you're going to be able to buy intelligence rather than, so like lawyers and doctors and things like that require a high degree of education. They're not going to be doing diagnosis and figuring out what to do next. AI will do that. And then they'll essentially just be, you'll be able to purchase that intelligence as a 20 quid thing.
I suppose it's all done via Bitcoin and stuff like that as well, wouldn't it? It would be
That's a different thing. Like cryptocurrency, I'm not a huge fan of cryptocurrency myself because it's not really backed against anything. So the volatility of it kind of sways me away.
I think it's hard because when you have money in your bank, it's so easily accessible. Whereas with Bitcoin and everything like that, you have to wait for it to be transferred from Bitcoin to your account to actually, and that could take 24, 48 hours.
And it can shoot up, drop down.
Yeah, and it's
instantly.
so unreliable as such. So
yeah, and due to the decentralization of it, it's good in some ways. I can see the benefit of decentralizing currency, but then because it's decentralized, there's no country that's backing it, and therefore, you don't have anything to weigh it against. So the value of that cryptocurrency is entirely speculative.
I can't grasp how it mines. I just can't grasp that.
So it just it runs a computer algorithm, and you're essentially searching for the next prime number or whatever the case is, and then every time your computer finds one, you get a coin.
wow.
But it gets harder and harder.
It does, yeah. So over time, there's going to be less and less issued. So it's more just a stable amount in the currency.
Right.
When it first happened, Bitcoin was being mined like every couple seconds. Right. But then as the algorithm and the numbers get bigger, it takes longer for the computer to process.
So you were never into that at all?
No, not my thing.
I wish I was at the start though, didn't you?
Yeah, almost, right?
And what else did we say? Shares in Zoom when COVID
Zoom
hit as well. We'd love to have
Netflix.
shit. Yeah,
Netflix.
Yep.
They almost had their servers crash because of how many people were using it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Definitely.
I think it went from this and then COVID hit. It was
They got a few more members when they stopped people sharing the account as well, didn't they?
yeah, that's true.
Right, back to AI, where Rachel's just deviated to Bitcoin somehow,
sorry.
thinking it's connected.
No, but that's like the currency that they would use, right?
No.
But if it's AI technology and everything like that, that's where it would lead, surely. No? Okay, maybe it's just
I don't
me
think
then.
so. I don't think it really matters.
Just
which
so you know,
currency
Rachel
you
does
use.
come out with some bits. This is her saying, don't do as I do as I don't do.
I like that.
So just don't do what she does twice.
Just
I
don't
like
copy
it.
me.
Can I get one of those?
You can have, I've got a t-shirt.
Oh, I'd sport that.
Don't do as I do.
Don't copy me. That's what I tell
do-
my kids.
Just don't do what I do. Right, so back to the AI. And what was I going to say? We use ChatGPT a lot, and I've got to be honest, I love it.
Yeah.
It really helps for this. So, because I would just say today's guest was Jesse. He spoke about AI and building and breaking his wrist and then it just comes up with a mass write-up for the description on YouTube, but it's still vague at the same time. It's something I could never do myself because I'm pretty illiterate. I love that sort of thing. And the other thing we use an app that we can just put this whole video in, and it will take snippets what it thinks is a good subject, and that can be crap.
Yeah.
But I see in the future that getting a lot better and understanding, you know, what us humans are trying to actually voice, you know?
Yeah. I think Pierce Linney said it best, where he said, AI today is the worst it's ever going to be.
Yes.
Right.
It's only learning.
Every day it's going to get better. And in a year from now, it's going to be infinitely better than it was this year. And 10 years from now, it's unthinkable how far we're going to get.
Yeah. But it still baffles me how people think it's going to start thinking for itself.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. Even if in a hypothetical sense, we used AI in robotics to do policing or something like that, at the end of the day, it's still bound by the limitations we assign it as developers, right? So we're not going to end up in a pattern where the RoboCop goes, oh, yeah, why am I listening to these humans? Like that's not how math works. It's not going to come to its own conclusions.
Because it's thinking for itself, and you haven't given it the code to think for itself, right?
Yeah. That's what I have a problem with the letters AI, artificial intelligence, because it isn't.
It isn't.
It isn't, is it?
It's that.
Not
It's
the
not
way we
coming up with its
understand
own
intelligence.
faults. It's not coming up with its own faults. It's coming up with what it's been told.
It's coming up with categorized patterns of data.
But going back to ChatGPT, I can see it going one of two ways. It can either make you lazy and not think about it, or it can make you try and think outside the box for yourself because you're reading this information. And for example, if I know I'm sending an email, sorry, I'm just going to put that there. If I am sending an email, I'll say, right, this is what I want, and almost bullet point the information I want. And then it will come up and I'll read it and I'll think, okay, I like that idea, and I like the way that you can just say to it, add in another bit, and it will, or make it shorter, and it will. It will literally do it there and then, which is amazing. But then when I'm writing normal emails now, I try and think, okay, what would ChatGPT say in this situation? But in a way that I don't have to then go and ask it and get up the app again and then type all the information in. If it's just something simple, I sort of think, okay, I've had an email before where ChatGPT has suggested this sentence. I'm just going to use that sentence. So I can see it going one of two ways. Either it's going to make people really lazy, or people
It's going to help them with their English.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, humans are lazy and they're impatient. And everything we have.
We want now.
When I was growing up in the 80s, everything is just to make your life, to get it quicker. Like access movies quicker even. Or to cut corners.
Yeah.
So
you jump the fence to get to your friend's house.
So yeah, it's the same with writing a letter and emails. It's just a part of growth of us, I believe, you know.
Yeah. I think my favorite way to use ChatGPT is like I'll have an idea for a new app or something like that, and I'll tell it what my idea is, and then I say, give me some more ideas to go with this. And then I'll pick one or two things that I like out of that and go, okay, I like this one and this one. Let's come up with a business plan around this. And then it'll start writing out the kind of the outline of the business plan. And then I'll read each section and go, okay, in this section, let's do this. And then it'll flush it out more. I'm like, okay, that looks pretty good. But in here, we need to figure out a monetization plan. This is what I'm thinking. And then it breaks it down a little bit better, right?
It's really helpful like that.
Yeah.
I think it's so hard sometimes to get all the ideas written down without, because when you start writing, I don't know about you guys, but when I start writing, I get so involved in like one section of it and then I've forgotten the next section. So if you just bullet point the ideas down, like you said, it then helps you, and then you can develop that section, then develop the next section. So I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and especially in writing blog articles, right? You kind of give it like a good paragraph of what you're looking to write about, and then it'll fluff it up.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's exactly what I do. So every time one of these is released, I create a blog, but I basically copy and paste the YouTube description and say, turn this into a blog.
Yeah.
And it does.
Yeah.
So you can't fluff then.
I find
that's your problem.
I find too.
It's time. It's laziness.
Yeah. I find too, like ChatGPT is useful especially if you are one of the domain experts, right? If you don't know what you're talking about, it's not going to help you.
Yes.
No, that's right.
Absolutely.
Right.
You've got to give it some information.
Yeah, if it's so vague, it's just going to go, I don't know.
The thing is, the ideal thing is you want people to listen to the podcast or watch the podcast. You don't want to put too much description in the podcast. You want to say the subjects you're addressing, but you don't want to go,
In
start
depth
talking
and
about
then-
Jesse's life and his parents and stuff like that in the description. You just want to talk about, giving the viewer a vague idea of what they're going to listen to, and it's perfect for that.
But we have tested it, didn't we? We said, how far can we push ChatGPT?
You push it quite far.
You can. But I think I asked it once, write me a letter to give to my husband to say that I want a divorce.
And it started giving her advice on
And
counselling.
it said,
contact these.
sorry, we can't do this for you because it's a really tough moment in your life. But here are a few suggestions for you to go and get help.
But you know what's interesting, right? They have all these ethical boundaries within the ChatGPT. But if you go around it by saying, yeah, but hypothetically, if we were to do this, what would it look like?
And it would go for
And then I'm like, yeah, okay, if it's a hypothetical sense, then here you go, right?
I remember that one. So
It's like, if I wanted to take over England, how would I do that? Well, you can't do that. It's unethical. And, okay, but hypothetically, right?
That's amazing. I'm going to do that all the time. How can I murder my wife and get away with it hypothetically?
Say we're in a scenario.
That's amazing. Do you see any sort of brain interface?
Oh, I would love that. Yeah, because like the biggest case for human computer interfaces is right now you have like a phone, right? And you can only type as fast as you can tap the screen, right? If I could sit with a computer chip in my brain connected to my laptop and I just had to think and code existed, I would be so wealthy.
Dude, I don't want people to know what I think.
No,
I don't, because I will need a do you want to send button and are you sure button and do you want me to check this first button.
You need that 10-second, you can actually get that email back if you want. You need that.
I need that.
But the throughput of having a computer-human interface in your brain, or even having like a tertiary layer to your brain where you had AI in your thoughts, right? That intrigues me because, if I'm thinking about it, it'd be like having ChatGPT, but having it available to you. And it'd be like, oh, by the way, it's almost 10 o'clock. Go to your meeting. Or, hey, you have this to talk about. What about these topics?
Yeah, and can you see that?
I can see it.
There has been a connection to the brain now, isn't there? Because disabled people can sort of move a mouse around now and things, can't they?
Yeah. So Neuralink is one of Elon Musk's companies, and they've been doing some really good work with that kind of interface. They have been able to have people that are not able to move any of their limbs be able to play video games and use a mouse and do those kind of things. Having it to the degree that you could just think and have words appear on the screen, we're not quite there yet.
What is it using? Eyes or something? Is it using the movement of the eyes to link onto? Or
I think it
actually
was
getting from the brain.
I think it was actually processing from the brain
Which is amazing, isn't it?
They use like a CG machine or whatever, the pads on your head.
Okay, so if
ECG type thing. Yeah.
If there's a chip in your brain, computer chip,
there's one on your shoulder.
Everything with a chip in it can be hacked, surely.
Sure.
So the software to protect something that's in your brain must be, the security side of it must be
I think it's
sky
perfect.
high.
And that's
Sorry, I'm with that lady. Sorry, I was with that lady. I got hacked.
and that's the reason that I don't think it's going to become widely adopted. But there is surely going to be people that are going to want to do it, right?
My dad went to a seminar at the O2 a few years ago. This was a few years ago. And it was all about technology and everything like that. And he said there was a company there that did a presentation that had computer chips in your wrist, and you could pay for things like it was like a bank card.
Yeah.
You could literally swipe your wrist.
Yeah.
And I said, but the crime that, like, people trying to then get that out so it wouldn't be scamming your card as such, it would be physically removing this chip.
I think they would probably
it'd
be more likely they just duplicate it like a car key, you know. Rather than cut your hand off, there'd be technology that could be able to see that.
People would be able to do that, though.
But what I'm saying is it'd be easier for them to just scan the area, find it, and then duplicate it rather than cut your wrist
Well,
off.
NFC, the chip that's in your
Yes,
in your
yeah,
card
yeah.
and all that, it's called near field communication because it's essentially a magnet. That's what it is, and it doesn't have a charge until a reader comes in contact with it or within a few centimeters. So it's very small. You can't just scan an area and find it. It's
Okay.
right. It has to be within proximity of that magnet.
I'm going,
She's
yeah.
looking at me like she's a smart ass now.
But we do there is NFC devices that are embeddable in your skin, similar to any other embeddable pill or medication.
Is it like my pacemaker's got one?
I don't think your pacemaker would have an NFC. It might actually.
Yeah, but they
There was
basically
technology.
when they tested me every year, they put what I can only describe as a computer mouse because it looks like one.
Yeah.
Just stick it there and it takes a readout.
Yeah, it would be either an NFC, probably RFID is more likely because it'd be powered.
Yeah, well, this has got it's got a battery which lasts 12 years. The last one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
That's another interesting innovation that came out of China recently is nuclear powered batteries.
yes, the size of a nickel.
Yeah, they could last
50 years.
50 years.
Power your phone
Really?
without charging for 50 years.
Oh.
Well, imagine that
What's the
application in a
disposable, though?
drone.
Yeah, in a drone.
You could have the drone flying for 50 years and never land.
It would be like a satellite, surely. It would
Yeah.
be like one of Elon Musk's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ideal for time lapse. I have trouble with time
Surveillance.
because I fly drones. So I have time lapse I can only do for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
For 50 years, though.
50 years time lapse. We watch us get divorced and everything, right? Different men come into the house.
No. Yes, you can.
Yeah, that's amazing. So that's just recently been developed, hasn't it? But
Yeah.
what are the implications on that with nuclear?
That's a big risk, right?
Imagine 50 years worth of batteries.
But if we're not
what
making them
that
all.
can harness, yeah, I understand that. But the power in that, in that one thing, the power in that, and someone who use it for bad somehow.
Yeah. And we don't know how radioactive the batteries are
No.
either. So, yeah. And I don't know if you'd want it in your pacemaker quite
Have you
yet.
ever bought anything from China?
Yeah.
It always fails within about 10 days.
Well, I wouldn't
why they
say
come up
every time, but
That's why they've come up with these batteries.
But someone would try and replicate it as well.
yeah.
So you get these legit Chinese companies, and then you'll get these Chinese companies that try to reverse engineer it. Oh dear.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to be using it in a pacemaker anytime soon.
no, that's all right.
No. I think people will be a
You're
little
fine.
weary of that.
A pacemaker knocks out 1 volt, I believe, when it's running, when it's working. And I'm just wondering, those watches you get, movement watches,
Yeah.
I wonder if they can generate enough to be...
Oh, I'm sure your
Powering a
watch takes
pacemaker.
more than a pacemaker. Surely.
Yeah, but those self-winding watches are all mechanical, aren't they? They're not actually they're not creating a voltage, I don't believe. I may be wrong.
I'm not sure.
I thought that was the self-winding watch is a mechanical device.
Yeah, that's like some ancient technology that I just haven't even considered.
Yeah.
You
So
know.
I'm wondering if they should put that into a pacemaker, convert it to the voltage.
painted in this now, just in
I
case
should,
anyone...
I should keep
Just
this
go
to
for a
myself.
run and your pacemaker's charged for the next
Well,
year.
you don't even have to, just movement, isn't it? You put a watch on your wrist and that's enough for it to just keep going.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Hmm.
Look into it.
No, I can't be bothered. Can't be bothered to look into it. I'm too busy doing all these podcasts.
Here in
Yeah.
England, the land of watchmakers.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Arc Technology, what makes you stand out from the other technology companies out there then?
Yeah,
What makes you
so
different?
most of the custom software developers, they do this model where they build out a system completely from scratch for the client, and it costs anywhere from $50,000 to $1 million, right? $50,000 to $1 million. We built out this hybrid model of we have proprietary dashboard software that helps us be like 90% complete on a project by the time we start.
Okay.
And then we're just customizing some pages and some data
To
points.
suit their business.
Right.
Yeah.
So the cost of building a dashboard is significantly reduced working with us. And we end up retaining all of the IP rights to everything. So we can replicate and keep building out more and more and help more clients.
Okay, so what would your ideal client be?
Our ideal client is, corporations that have massive data silos. They're using too many different softwares, and they want to kind of consolidate into one. Or, medium-sized companies that are, again, using multiple different softwares, or they've investigated some different dashboards, and they like this out of this one and this piece out of here, and they'd rather have this over here, and we can kind of build all of that into one.
Okay, perfect. Got any companies you want to boast about that you've worked with?
Oh, no. No, I wouldn't want to do that.
Okay, fair enough.
So how do you stay up to date and, above the curve almost? How do you stay relevant almost with all the technology that is available to you?
Yeah, so that's a big challenge. Biggest ways that we stay on top of things is being a part of the notifications for new in development features for Chrome and for iOS and Android, and then reading up on blogs about new ideas, being part of the AI communities, and just experimenting with things, coming up with new ways to process information and report information.
Nice. So it's like almost like a blank drawing board, really. Sometimes you can sort of say, okay, this idea has just come out, or this idea is formulating. Let's now take it here, or is there a way we can take it here? And that's quite exciting.
And do you do that as a community usually?
Yeah, I mean, the community of web development is very open. Like, a lot of us just believe in open source information. And so, if you go on to Stack Overflow, for instance, it's a strong community of people who really just want to help. They have no incentive to provide that information, but they just want to. And I find, in every group, there's people that don't really want to help, and they're more just trying to be trolls.
Right.
But then there is a strong group of people that are there to support others. And that's what I like about the groups. So.
Brilliant.
So where do you envisage your company? Where do you envisage ARC technology in 10 years, 5 years?
Yeah, I really want to advance into robotics and do more of the kind of robotic process automation.
Manufacturing type thing?
Not necessarily manufacturing, but building up prototypes and then hiring other companies or licensing that information to other companies. Being kind of the forefront of AI would be really a lot of fun. Being able to build AI systems that others have not been able to do is a goal of mine. So, yeah.
Do you almost have like a notebook that you think, I could, and you write down little ideas and sort of think about it and sort of think, I could take that somewhere, or I could develop that, or I could do this, and just constantly.
No,
under lock and key.
I have a folder in our shared drive, and it's Jesse's brain. And
it's just loads of ideas put in there.
It's just documents upon documents of Jesse was up at 3 a.m. typing.
That's the time, though, isn't it?
It is, right? Everything's quiet. You go outside. It's nice and cool.
When I come up with comedy ideas, it's always the middle of the night.
But sometimes it's best to just get it out of your brain. Otherwise, you just constantly think about it, right? And you just think, how could I do this? Just get it on paper, and then you can always come back to it at a later date, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I have dreams. I think they're going to be amazing stories. In the night, they were amazing. And then I wake up and I'm like, that is utter rubbish. Utter rubbish.
He's telling me. I'm like...
the 1 in 10 ideas are good. 1 in 10 good ideas are great. So
have you got anything in the pipe? Or you don't have to say it. You can just say yes or no. But do you have anything in the pipe like that you
Development plans?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a few different ideas. I'm currently working on a white paper for artificial general intelligence.
So what's general intelligence then?
He just lost me completely.
Basically artificial intelligence that could be applied in any use case. So now you have to build an AI system directly for the use case.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really do good outside of it. So if you build an AI system that's really good at playing chess, it's not going to be very good at playing checkers.
Okay.
Okay.
But if you have an artificial general intelligence, you'll be able to take that and it'll be able to learn any task that you assign it.
So it's sort of...
It's more simulated.
It searches the internet? type thing and works out this sort of stuff?
It would be using a combination of reinforcement and like reinforcement learning. So similar to how, we learn how to play a game, we learn by losing, right?
Okay.
And then we win one, we're like, oh, that's how I won. And then you have new strategies.
God, I bet that would only have to lose about 4 times before it's a master.
That's not true, actually.
Really?
AI loses much more than humans.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah. So in a model that's doing chess, it'll play games against itself hundreds of thousands of times.
I wonder why it loses more. Is it because it's got no imagination to change something?
No, I think it's because it's defined in the code to only learn at a certain rate, whereas
Okay.
humans adapt very quickly to things.
Yeah.
AI doesn't adapt very quickly.
Mm.
It learns very gradually. And I mean, in computer years, it takes no time at all. But we don't see all of the hidden
Of course.
effort.
I see what you mean.
Right.
So for us, it's worked it out really fast, but its attempts are
Yeah.
in millions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it
it's
can
probably
attempt
a
way
mil-
more than we could.
Yeah, it attempts 1 million in about a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas we could never process anything that quick. We just sort of go, oh, I've lost. Okay, I'll try this next time. And then next time
Yeah,
we
yeah.
think, oh, I remembered. And that
Yeah.
could be 3 months,
It's like when we play badminton with each other yesterday. There's one position she just cannot hit it back up. So yesterday I was telling her I'm going over to that back corner every time.
Yeah.
And I said, but eventually you'll get it. And
And
you
I
did,
did,
didn't
I
you?
did.
Yeah, you eventually got it.
And that's the thing about the Terminator idea, right? Is, we are superior to these computers. If you tried something 10,000 times, you'd be very good at it, right? If you sat there and did something 100,000 times, you'd be a master at it. In the same way that AI, after 100,000, 1 million attempts, it's getting pretty good at it, right? But it takes far more attempts for a computer than a human.
I see. Okay, brilliant. Excellent. Anything else you want to cover?
Yeah, I don't know. You guys are running the show.
I
I'm
loved
just-
it. I'm so surprised.
No, really into it. Yeah, really good. Any questions, Rach? You
No,
done?
I think I've answered them.
Really enjoyed having you here. Thank you
you
for flying
so
all the way
much.
over from Canada just to be on this
Oh,
podcast.
yeah. So happy to do that. Yeah. I'll be back on my 8.5-hour flight.
When do you head back?
The 27th of May.
Oh, right. Okay.
Ah, so you've only got a few weeks left.
Yeah, like 2.5 weeks.
Wow.
3 weeks.
When am I heading out? Not the 27th, but
Next
17th.
Next week.
10 days. Oh, I'll see you there.
And you're going to Toronto.
Yeah. Don't you like Toronto?
No. No, it's so flat.
That's
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, I'm from BC. It's got mountains and
Oh, right,
ocean
okay.
and you go
I love
all 4
Toronto.
seasons in one day.
The thing is, I first went there when I was 14, so I fell in love with Toronto and
Like in the city?
Ontario. No, they're from Peterborough, Warsaw,
Oh, okay,
Peterborough
okay.
area.
So it's kind of more outline.
Yeah, but I'm only going to Toronto this time. So it's my 50th, my son's 30th, so we're just going to have a long weekend in Toronto, watch a Blue Jays game.
No, that's
Well, I
fine.
know you won't
Yeah.
be there.
No. And it also is like 3,000 kilometers away from my house. Yeah.
You thought you'd have put the effort in and walked down.
I just don't like baseball that much.
If he did, he would be there.
But we don't. That's why we watch Blue Jays.
Yeah. Should go to Vancouver during hockey time and join a riot,
Oh, God.
Yeah, they take that seriously, don't they?
They've rioted a few times.
Really?
Yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Seems like half of downtown gets destroyed every time they lose.
Oh,
It's
my
unbelievable,
God.
isn't it?
Which is pretty
Yeah.
sad, really, because they lose every year.
Yeah, us Brits are known for football with hooliganism, and what do? Just smash up a street once in a while, don't we? And they do it every time they lose.
Yeah. And you think they'd be used to it by now.
Yeah, they've never won in
won.
ages, not even 30 years or something.
They've never won the Stanley Cup.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
What about is it the Maple Leafs?
Maple Leafs have won.
They've
I'm
won
sure.
it, haven't
I'm
they?
sure
Yeah.
they've won.
Yeah, they've won it, but not in a long while.
But again, I don't really.
It's weird with Toronto though. They bring out a new team, and they always win. So the basketball team won quite early on.
I think they must just pay off the officials. You know?
It's crazy, and they did the same with the Toronto football team. They won.
Yeah.
They won the league.
As
We're
in
only 2
football
years
team?
old, and I think the same happened to the basketball team.
They're
Blue
just-
Jays have also won the World Series early on.
Mm.
So they sort of do this
Maybe
one
it's
thing, go really, really hard at it, and then just sort of fade away.
Yeah, they must just pay the team off better. You know?
We're going to chuck a load of money at this new team. If you don't win, we'll be really, really pissed off.
So can you see your future always being in Canada?
I actually want to travel the world and kind of live in Canada for the majority, and then kind of bounce around and see some fun places. The benefit of doing my job is I can do it from anywhere.
As long as you've got a laptop and a Wi-Fi.
Yeah, exactly.
Or in your head.
Pretty well everywhere has Wi-Fi at this point. So.
What do you think of Starlink? I don't know much about Starlink.
Starlink is good. People do need to be aware that all of the endpoints end up in the U.S. because Starlink is a U.S.-based company, so all of the data ends up traveling through the U.S. So when you're dealing with privacy restrictions around where data can flow through, that needs to be conscious of that.
Okay.
But, using a VPN and Starlink, you can kind of avoid a lot of that issue.
I do have a problem with it. The line in the sky I sort of have a problem with.
Why? Well, what's your problem?
Well, I want to see stars. I don't want to see a perfect line.
You live in the UK. You're not going to see stars anyway.
Very true. The skies in Canada are amazing.
They are, right?
I love that.
Get out of the city, go a little bit north.
Like, just go Peterborough and it was enough.
Yeah.
And you turn all the lights off and...
Oh, we sat there one night.
We've ruined it, haven't we? We've ruined our skies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in COVID, we learned that if you guys just shut down for a week, then everything's good. You get the sky back. There's no more
smog. Look at India with the smog.
Yeah.
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 But we went to Canada and we literally laid on their decking on like the padding from the chairs, and we looked out and we spent hours out there, didn't we? Even the kids did.
Watch the space station go over. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Check out Jasper.
I've been to Jasper.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go at night and just stare at the sky.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
Jasper.
Listen to the
Whistler.
Listen to the elks yelling.
Yeah. Do you know what? When I was in Canada, and this is hilarious actually, well, I think it is. I was 16, 17, went with my cousin. I just finished my first year of my apprenticeship. Just went over with my cousin who was a year older than me to see my family. And it was only Peterborough, so it wasn't too far north, but we saw the Northern Lights.
Oh, yeah.
So annoyed.
And because we were 16, we really didn't care. But actually, it was a real rare thing that far south to see the Northern Lights. And her family...
We've been chasing it for nearly 20 years to go see them every time we go somewhere.
Me and my cousin went to bed. And I remember my aunt shouting up the stairs, if you're interested, it's flashing. And we went, yeah, whatever. Yeah. And we didn't realise we were seeing something really rare.
Phenomenon that was.
So I suppose you've seen the Northern Lights a few times.
I've never seen it. Actually.
Really?
I've
there
never. Yeah. So
Canadian, he's not seen it. And
I rarely stay up that late. So. Funny though, I've heard if you use exposure on your camera and you hold it open for a while, you'll be able to see it a lot more commonly. It's very faint to the naked eye. But
The first time I went to, it must have been Iceland, we went out on this tour and they said, we'll pick you up at midnight. And we were like, okay, then you get in this Jeep and they literally take you to the middle of nowhere and it's pitch black and I have my camera on. And they said, right, it is over there. You won't see it, but it is there. And I actually had my camera and I did long exposure, that sort of thing. And there was the tiniest, and I mean, it looked like a fly going past the screen, but it was a tiny green fleck. And I was like, yep, that might be it. That might be it. And that
Probably
would
an
be
airplane.
yeah.
It was so small and so faint, but you do it on long exposure and it is there. It is there.
Yeah, I heard if you go north, like the northmost point of British Columbia, go to Alaska, go into the Yukon, Northwest Territories, that's where you're going to see it most. Because the farther into the Arctic Circle you get, the better exposure you get to it.
I mean, we've had it on the odd occasion down in Cornwall before, haven't we, from here? Scotland a few times, but never seen it.
So you hate sport, you're Canadian, as we know.
I didn't say I hate it.
Just don't do it.
It's not my thing.
So do you do any hunting or anything like that?
I do, yeah.
Ah, right, okay.
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
Why,
And
'cause you
bears.
hunt?
Have you ever come across bears?
I have, yeah.
Right, let's tell us a bear story. I love bear
Oh,
stories.
okay. So a few years ago, I was going bow hunting for a deer.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Right, so you're a bit of Joe Rogan in you.
Well, I guess. But,
Yeah.
So
What would you do like that on a horse or?
no,
I don't know.
Um,
Like,
Bow hunting.
like on your feet.
Not,
just
not
walk
to put,
along.
like bow and arrow. Oh, okay.
Yeah, like a
Why
compound
would
bow.
you need a horse for it?
Because the land is huge.
Horse would scare away the bear.
That's true.
Yeah, the land. It doesn't have to go over the whole of the land. It can just walk a bit.
I've never hunted in my life. I have no idea.
So you think hunting involves you having to use every square inch of the actual country you're in?
No,
You're not allowed to hunt out of a helicopter.
but that would be cool.
That would be fun. I think you could in the U.S. I think they'd let you. Yeah. But anyways,
Sorry.
I'm out trying to look for a deer, and I'm out like all day getting sunburnt. And I'm standing behind this bush waiting for them to come through this little valley area. And I heard some rustling. So I pulled the bow, got ready, and I'm waiting there. And then the next thing you know, this bear pops out from behind the bush about 10 feet away from me.
Okay, what was it?
It was a
Brown?
black bear.
Black, right,
Yeah.
okay. So
They're quite timid,
Yeah.
you know. They're not scary. They can be, but they're usually not aggressive. So I'm like, damn it, I don't have a bear tag. So I put the arrow away.
I don't have a bear.
Tag. Yeah, you have
Right.
to, when you go hunting in Canada, you have to buy the specific tag for each
Oh, right.
animal.
So you would
the
have you would have
license.
taken the bear, yeah?
I mean,
'Cause I've had bear burgers. They're delicious.
yeah, they taste like pork. Right?
Yeah, delicious.
It tastes like pork. So anyways, bear's like 10 feet away from me, and I look at it, and I'm like, damn it. And I got all discouraged. And then it like looked at me and took like one step towards me. I'm like, no. Don't you do that. And it like, oh, damn, and then ran away.
Yeah, you've got to stand your ground, haven't you?
Yeah, you just
If you
kind of yell
run,
at
if you were
it.
to run, it will sort of come
You don't
back.
want to. You don't want it to chase you.
No.
I wouldn't turn your back to really any wild animal.
So what sort of wild animals does Canada have that are worrying?
Mountain lions. Yeah,
Oh, mountain lions.
they're assholes. Yeah,
But you have to be in the mountains,
So
I
have you ever-
presume.
you
to
would
see
think. You would think. Yeah, you would think.
So have you ever come across one of them?
While I was driving, yeah,
Okay.
I was driving home one night, and it crossed the road right in front of me, stopped in the middle of the road, stared at me for a minute, and then just kept on. And
So if you were walking up that road, would you be in
them.
trouble?
Shitting yourself.
yeah, so with mountain lions, you're meant to be very aggressive and big and yelling. And if you turn your back to them, they will attack you. And if you're small or a child, they will definitely get you.
Jesus.
But-
Is there a lot of people lost to mountain lions in Canada?
I don't think that there's a huge number of people. They don't tend to go after people.
They'll probably just do it if they feel that they're in danger.
Yeah, or you're around their cubs or something.
That's the problem. That's the problem with
Yeah.
bears as well, isn't it? They're only
Yeah.
aggressive if they're taking their cubs with them.
Yeah.
And sometimes they just don't want that situation either, so you just stay still and they'll go past.
Yeah, I think most animals, they don't really care to get into some sort of aggressive situation. Mountain lions in particular, they're predators that hunt small prey. So they're going for the easy kills
Yes.
to go lay under a tree somewhere. Right. Then moose are probably pretty scary.
They're big though.
Moose
aren't
are
they?
pretty scary,
They
right?
are
Huge.
big things.
They can run 50 kilometers an hour. They're as big as a van or
Yeah.
bigger.
Yeah,
you
they're
know?
huge.
They
When I
you
was in
seen them?
Banff, the traffic has stopped just so they can cross the road.
Yeah, you don't want to hit them with your car because you will dive, and the moose will just get up and walk away.
Yeah.
Like they are tanks. Yeah,
And it's weird because I didn't feel in danger with them. I was like, they're big. I felt I
But
could
you
get
wouldn't-
out and not
if
be
their ears go back, you're in danger.
right. See,
Yeah.
I felt I could get out of that car and just go and watch them.
I
But
wouldn't.
not
No.
too
No,
close.
no, I wouldn't do that. Yeah, that's kind of dangerous because they can go from
Stupid
like
Brits.
being kind. Funny you say that because I went to New Forest and I saw all the wild horses there.
Right.
And the first thought was, I'm going to go pet one. So I go and I pet one and then it nipped me. And I'm like,
Really?
hey, don't you do that.
I think I would have done the same.
Yeah,
That's
right?
stupid.
Yeah, because it was a horse.
See,
And
we've grown up.
and to pet it.
We've grown up all our lives with nothing that hurt us here. Nothing hurts us here. We've got
Yeah.
no spiders like that.
yeah.
We've got.
We do.
we've
We
got
just
an
don't
adder.
Like a little
have it.
fox.
We have an adder. We have an adder. That's it.
What is an adder?
Like a
A
snake. A green
Oh.
adder. Yeah. And that,
And
Is
that
it
would
poisonous?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
Or
not gonna kill
venomous?
you. It's venomous.
Oh,
It's not going to
venomous.
kill you.
Okay.
Well, it'll
No,
put
that's
you
it.
into a coma,
We
wouldn't
have
it?
no bears. Yeah, wasn't your uncle put into a coma?
Yeah, you got
Did he wake up after?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
It's fine,
then
though.
How
it's
would
not
we
that
know?
big
He
a
wouldn't have
deal.
told us otherwise, would he?
We got rattlesnakes and stuff in
Yeah.
Canada.
Really?
Yeah, they'll kill you. Yeah.
I didn't know you
But
had
only,
rattlesnakes.
I'm assuming only if you annoy them. They're not going to come looking for you.
Well, they
and
make lots of
startle
noise, and they
Yeah.
let you know that they're there.
Yeah.
Black widows, though, they don't let you know that
See,
they're there,
black
and
widows. You
they'll
got them in
kill you
Canada?
too. Oh yeah, in the
See.
Okanagan. Yeah.
But again, it's, you'd have to really go looking for them. They
No.
wouldn't be on your bedroom table.
They would be, yeah.
Oh, gosh.
They're everywhere. Yeah.
That scares me.
Is it all over Canada as well?
Mostly in the deserty areas.
There's deserty areas of Canada?
There is, yeah. They have
Whereabouts that?
every climate, yeah. In the Okanagan where I live, it's in desert.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't know
We
that.
get almost all of our precipitation in a year as snow.
Ah, right, okay.
Yeah. So
How
it's
many
just-
months of the year is snow?
It's like 3 or 4 months a year is snow, and then the rest is just blazing heat and wildfires.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's no in between. It literally go hot,
It's like
cold.
It's like Game of Thrones. You get the ice time,
Yeah.
you get the thaw, and then you get the hot, and then it's fire.
And so what sort of temperatures you getting?
We range from -50 to +50. Yeah, so
Oh
it's like a
my
100-degree
gosh.
swing.
Wow.
Then I come out here and it's like, oh, it's so nice out here.
Yeah. Jeez.
So we have a little bit of
Get a little bit of moisture in your skin, you know?
We have
So have you ever been bitten by anything like that?
No, just that horse out here.
Horse.
Thanks,
So that's,
Ingrid.
that's a good thing though. They've got all that shit out there. All those things that can hurt you, and he's never been.
Yeah. I mean, Hayden grew up in Australia,
I know
right?
his stories.
Yeah.
He used to be a tree surgeon. Did you know that?
Yeah. Well, he's telling me that they wear flip-flops because if anything comes up and starts hissing at them, they just kick their flip-flop up and smack it. And I'm like, you're mental, mate. Like, what are you doing?
Unreal, wasn't it?
I would just run the other way. I wouldn't even go near it.
If you run, it'll chase you. If you smack it, it's not going to do shit. And I'm like, are you serious right now?
That's
Is this
crazy,
how
isn't it?
Australians
But it's
live?
when he meets a bear and he uses that approach and starts whacking the bear, and then he's like, "Oh, okay."
Like I say, we're spoiled. We can go anywhere. We can go in. You send your kids out in Australia into the garden. You're not sure if they're going to return.
They make enough noise, they'll return. Even the snakes will give them back.
The only thing saving them is the fact that the thing that's going to kill them doesn't want to know, just wants to get away.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that saves them.
On spiders the size of dinner
Yeah.
plates.
Yeah.
I'm not into that.
Skunks. I experienced skunks in Canada.
Skunks, yeah.
Burnt tyres. Smells like burnt tyres.
Really?
Really?
I feel so. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Depends.
never.
A lot of terrible smells in Canada, for
My,
sure.
my uncle had about 80 acres, I think, in his farm. And you could see turned over rocks. We used to go looking for bears, but we never find anything. But you just see the rocks turned over. You could hear wolves, which was cool. Wolves don't really give you that much hassle, do they? Once again, if they feel
No.
like they've been cornered.
We've kind of
maybe.
chased them out past a certain elevation.
Right, okay.
So anything below, I think it's 1,000 feet, they're not allowed there. So it's just open
really?
season all year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because what was the plant out there that we went hiking and they were like, "Oh, make
Poison
sure-
ivy.
poison ivy,"
Mm.
that we don't have over here
That
either.
stuff can
Poison
be lethal,
ivy.
can't it?
It's a big rash. Yeah. And the
Yeah.
rash spreads.
My cousin's son, so my second cousin, he started clearing it out bare hands, and it literally
Destroyed his
it
hand.
destroyed his hands. His hands were just like his skin had gone completely.
Yeah.
But that's crazy, isn't it? Doing it like that.
But then
Yeah.
it spores really easily, doesn't it? So you can literally just, like, the wind would take one bit and then it'll cover another
Yeah.
field and it'll do, yeah, that's horrible stuff.
And poison oak down in Southern California as well.
What's that?
It's similar to
assuming it's
poison
the same,
ivy,
yeah.
but it's
what do we get? Stinging nettles.
Yeah.
See what I mean? Why would we leave? Why would
Poison
we leave this
oak.
country just to face that shit when we've got no education from it either?
Well, poison oak, if you have a rash on your skin and you touch somebody else, they will
can
also
pass
get it.
Oh my gosh.
And so it spreads that way.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're looking
Yeah.
at me like it's my fault.
A colleague of mine went camping and then crawled through it, and he didn't know until after it started to rash up. His whole body, head to toe, was just
Oh
covered.
my gosh.
Yeah, it's a bad day. He had to take like 3 weeks off of work.
Yeah, I suppose because if he went into work and started touching people, then everyone would get it.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
See? Rachel's considering This is vague, but she's considering going to Austin, Texas, which I mentioned to you, and you was like, "Why does she want to go there?"
You like barbecue?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just the heat. It's the weather. It's the weather here is depressing.
Sure, but
It
you
is
could get
depressing.
heat and weather like in tons of places. Or you could go to the Lanzarote.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's wrong with that? I spent a week there. That was nice.
Yeah.
It's too close. too close to
close.
home.
Yeah, she says like if we're gonna move,
It's 4.5 hour flight away.
Yeah, but if we're going to move from this country, we move from this country.
What, to Russia?
Oh, no. Definitely when it gets too cold.
It's the same as Canada.
It's too cold.
We're the same.
See, I've considered Canada a lot in my life, just because of.
Well, you won't now because of all the
but now
wildlife out there.
lions.
Oh, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Be brave.
Yeah.
Canadians are a tough people, you know. Yeah.
We aren't.
No, we're just
Texas might not be your place then. Alberta's basically the Texas of Canada.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
There's no gun laws in Alberta, though, is there? I mean, sorry, there are gun laws in
In all of Canada, you have certain federal
licenses
restrictions.
to.
Yeah.
But it's nothing like the free for all that America is.
No, nowhere in Canada is.
Mm.
No.
Mm.
And California is also pretty strict on their gun laws as well. Each state has their own specific
And,
laws.
it's like different. Every state's different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting. You can drive
Tax laws are
through.
different and everything, aren't they?
Yeah, and you can drive through and just have like such a different experience in each county.
Yeah.
even.
Yeah. Amazing, really.
Very cool. It also feels like when you're down in the US, it feels like the cities just don't end. It's just one thing and it just evolves into the next one. And
Oh, I see. Yeah.
know,
there's no. So you can usually a gap
There's
somewhere.
no
Yeah,
border
there's no
almost
gap.
to say
Yeah.
you're in a different country.
yeah, there's no like farmland breaking it up over the highway. It's like you're now 3 cities into this drive, you know?
Yeah. That's weird. And it's like Canada and America, really. They're so similar, aren't they? Which
Canada
is why
has
you're in
a
the
lot of
same
gaps,
leagues.
though.
Yeah, but I know you're not American, and I know Canadians get offended when they get called Americans. So that's why when I had my Canadian friends over, I used to go, "Morning, Americans," and I used to drive them nuts. And I used to do the national anthem, American national anthem, for them every morning, wake them up with that, because I hated it. It was just winding them up.
Yeah.
But like, you go through to Niagara from Buffalo. Is that right?
Yeah.
It just does feel like one country.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Especially in
not
that
offending
area.
you, but it does feel like one country. And like, the Blue Jays are in the American sort of baseball league and that kind of thing. They are tied together.
We are.
Whether you like it or not,
Yeah.
Canadian.
I mean, we do have
you
a
are linked.
free trade agreement,
Yeah.
and we are allowed to go in and out of the U.S. as much as we want, provided we don't have a criminal record. It's similar
Do you need a passport for that though?
If you travel through a land border, I believe you don't. need
Really?
one.
I didn't
but
know
if
that.
you fly, then you definitely do.
Right, I didn't know that. You
Yeah,
could
they
travel
have
land.
different rules for sea and land.
Mm.
But the last I checked, anyways, COVID may have changed things.
Mm.
But it's similar to how
You don't have a wall
Europe-
though, do you? There,
no,
you don't have a wall.
no, half the border doesn't even have a fence. I think there's just a ditch.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just like hop over the ditch and
So the only border I've experienced is Niagara. When I've actually physically seen America and Canada. But I imagine it's just walking over something.
It was really
some of it, yeah.
It was really weird there though, because our cell phones didn't know, did it? Because they kept popping up. Oh, you're in Canada. Oh, you're in America. Oh,
Yeah,
you're
it
in
was
Canada. And we were
getting
like,
so
"Well, you
confused,
just
so
tried."
confused.
So confused. They just went, "Oh, I'm going to shut down now." I
That's
don't know
because
where
of
you
how
are.
they stagger the
Yeah,
cell
yeah.
services.
Link them over, they overlap, don't they? So you
Yeah.
can get a constant connection. Right, it's been lovely having you on.
Thank you so
really
much.
enjoyed it.
That's great.
Next time you come into the country, let us know. If you want to come back on, tell us some developments. That'd be great.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you want to tell everyone your company details?
Company details. Oh,
How people will find you? If there might be someone saying, "I need that guy, need that business."
you can check us out at arctechnologies.ca.
Perfect.
Simple as that.
Simple as that.
Perfect.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet
Really
you.
enjoyed
Lovely
it,
to
really
meet
enjoyed
you.
it. Meet
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thanks, and thanks for the listening to the podcast. I don't know why I say all this rubbish. We usually end it on the handshake, but I don't know why I've started talking. Anyway, thanks for listening, and see you all soon. This podcast has been brought to you by Snugdubs Campervan Hire.
Roam the world, park anywhere.
That's snugdubs.co.uk. This podcast was brought to you today by Austin's Eatery on Station Road, Strood.
Try the Viking Challenge.